Welcome back to Straight Facts on Tuesday. LB, Dan Potts in the house. Smash like buttons. Make sure you're subscribing. Sorry for being late. It was my fault today. My camera weren't working. It took me ages to get it fixed. But gentlemen, how are you both? You well?
Yeah, man, I'm good.
Yeah.
I say I'm good. My voice is croaky as hell, which I think I've got a cold coming, which is never good. But apart from that, I'm happy, mate.
Yeah, man. I'm all good. Big weekend, but yeah.
It's a great weekend. It was great. I've heard you drunk a lot of wine over the weekend.
Yeah, what is all this about, LB?
Is it the vino?
That NFL, man, it's long. Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe a couple hours, I'm having a couple drinks and we'll be 4 hours, 5 hours later, we're still going. Yeah, it was a big one.
Yeah, it's NFL. I haven't done late, like sort of gone out with the boys for about 2 years now. But when I did it about 7-8 years running. And yeah, they're long nights. They're just considering each quarter's 15 minutes for an hour game. It takes 5 hours. It's crazy. No wonder the Americans don't really worry about the VAR in football, generally speaking, because they're used to their sports being slow. But
I know, man.
It was good, and it was great to see, Alicia Keys up on stage in that little red dress. It was very nice. Fair play to her, and Usher as well for all that like him. Lots to talk about today, boys. Lots to talk about today on the show, and I want to start off with the breaking news. The new Man United era officially begins today as SirJim Ratcliffe has been, I love the fact they're using the word ratified now as the new 25% owner of Man United. That will increase to 29% once his personal investment has come in, making him the biggest single shareholder at the club. Already employed a new CEO. They think the footballing and sporting director are going to come in quickly. From a rival's perspective, this kind of seismic change at the club, talk about redeveloping the stadium to a 95,000 seat or building a new one. What kind of impact do you see this having at Man United and the Premier League at large?
I think it's a good one for United. I think, there's a lot of United fans that maybe didn't want this deal because obviously the Glazers are still technically there. And, I've heard a lot of United fans say any owner that comes in with the Glazers still there are just as bad as the owners. That's nonsense. Yeah, that's absolute nonsense. I understand that in an ideal world, the Glazers wouldn't be anywhere near that football club. But to suggest that just because someone's come in and the Glazers are still there, that this guy is automatically as bad as the Glazers, I just think it's completely ridiculous. I've said for some time that I think this will be a positive move for Man United, and the United fans should get behind, Ratcliffe and the guys that he's employing. For me, already, employing a CEO like Omar as quickly as he did shows intent, shows that these guys are not going to be messing around. Obviously, you've just spoke about the stadium. Obviously, there's a big decision that needs to be made on that, whether it gets demolished, whether it gets refurbished. And I know United fans, passionate about that. And, there's a lot of debate. And that could be one of his trickiest actual tests to sort of navigate because he's going to split opinion on that. But listen, I think it's a positive move for United. The United fans should be excited about it. Now, what I would say is I think it's going to still take time. Yeah, I don't think this is an overnight thing. And I think most United fans and you probably yourself, and football fans understand that there will be a lot of United fans that don't accept that it's going to take time. But ultimately, you've got to accept that Man United's been running to the ground over the last 10 years. Yeah, their squad is mediocre. Spent £1 billion in the last 10 years. Probably needs more than £1 billion spent on it just to get them anywhere near City, Liverpool, and Arsenal. You still got big question marks over the manager. Can you shift some of these players, like Rashford, Maguire on big cash? How easy is it going to be to get rid of them? So he's walking into a very difficult job. But at the end of the day, he's backed himself and he's obviously putting people in charge. So I think United fans should be optimistic, but just obviously with that understanding that this is probably going to take a little bit of time.
I mean, listen, I have absolutely no idea what Man United's future is going to be like in the next couple of years, but actions speak louder than words. I think it's very, very easy to come into a football club that is on its knees and say, this is what needs to be sorted out. I think everybody knows that. So until they start doing it, you've got to give them a chance. You can't put him in the same bracket as some of the Glazers because obviously he hasn't been at the club being able to look and do what he can do. And I think the movement and the actions are very positive about what they're saying. I think they need to actually get some footballing men in there as opposed to just dumping it all the responsibility on one man, whether it be a manager like Ten Hag or whether it be just one individual. I think there's a lot of people that need to come together at Man United and actually look at where they're moving together as a team. And behind the scenes, things have been rough at Manchester United, and there's a lot of footballing men that have been there that are well respected in the game that said there was a lot of problems, and they were the ones that were called toxic and told to get out, i.e. Cristiano Ronaldo, Jose Mourinho, Ralph Rangnick. See you later. You know what you're talking about. We do. Poor, really, really poor. And I'm not saying he should have kept all those men, but what I'm saying is they tried to tell the fans what the problems were. And I think some of the fans were kind of sort of not wanting to hear it, sticking their fingers in their ears and saying, no, it's all good. It's the manager, it's the problem. And it's Ronaldo, he's an arsehole, he needs to go. He's out of order what he said. Listen, I think everything what they said was right at Man United. There's a lot of home truths. I think that Mourinho, Rangnick and Ronaldo said. And I think now it's starting to see that you do actually need to look at where you're going behind the scenes as a board and where you're going as an ownership. And somebody needs to take the reins. And it needs to be somebody that you believe has got the absolute club at its heart and the best interest of the club. And I think if Jim Ratcliffe and some of the other guys they bring in can do that, then there'll be some faith at Man United that the fan base might actually get together and go, yeah, we're actually on our side here. And that's what all the fans need right now is a lift.
Yeah, I need to call someone out in the chat. Z Gold's just put the squad is not mediocre. Now, I don't know if Z Gold's a United fan or what, because obviously it's not clear, but your squad is mediocre. If you are a United fan, the United squad is mediocre. And I can prove it's mediocre because I can ask myself the question, how many Manchester United players would I take at City? And you know the only player that I'd take at City? Kobe Minu. And he'd be a backup to Rodri. And I asked Dan the same question. Dan, how many players would you take for Manchester United at Arsenal? Seriously.
Yeah,
you might take a few more than me, but you might take, you're probably going to take 2-3 max. Maybe you'll take Luke Shaw,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Luke Shaw. If I'm honest with you, bro, it's a great question. I think a lot of the fan base like to try to compare players all the time. And Rashford's better than Martinelli. Okay, you keep Rashford then and I'll keep Martinelli. Please keep Rashford. I don't want him on my club. Like, honestly, I don't really get... I think they try to hype them up. They want them to be better than they are. Arsenal do it as well. Saka's world-class. Rice is world-class. They're not. They might be one day. We all do it as a fan base. But sometimes I think with Man United fans, they try to so wish and hope and believe that these players are going to be absolutely top quality. But actually, sometimes they're not going to be. And I don't see that any of the players right now, there's any kind of understanding of their future. Because when you buy Eriksen and you buy Casemiro and you buy Varane, that's not a future. That's to try and win now. So it's been a little bit all over the place at Man United. They need to have a direction and an understanding of where they're going. And I think some of the playing staff definitely need to be shipped out and they need to get the right understanding of where they're going. Now, if I was to come in at Man United, I would not give Ten Hag another penny because he's proven to me that he cannot get the players into the club and he spent a hell of a lot of money on absolute trash. The Jadon Sanchos of this world were actually before him, but he's added to that Anthony. He's added to that some of the players you look at now and go, really? Did we actually need him? The goalkeeper, for example, everybody from Ajax, go a different route. Go a different route for me. Don't just get a manager in and say, try and get the players in that you used to coach at your old club, please, and bring them here. That ain't going to work. So that's where I'm at. And it's a good question, LB. I don't think I'd take many. I don't think I would. How many Man United players would get into the first team at Arsenal and Manchester City? I don't think there's many, Terry. I mean, I ask you. You're a Man United fan. There's not many.
I understand that because your teams are playing really well. Give this Man United squad, plus some new additions that will come, 2 years of being run well, and there'll be a difference of opinion, even on some of the individuals that are at this club, in my view. Because every 2 or 3 years when we're going through a bad time, our squad's looked at and it is viewed as mediocre, and some of the players are. But the players, everybody right now go, oh, I would take him, are typically the new players because they haven't been tarnished yet by the toxicity at the club. So Manu, a lot of, I think, for instance, when it comes to Arsenal, you could do with a young striker like Rasmus Højlund, who's going to be a bagsman as an example. So, I look at Delo at right back. I think he's had a phenomenal season. But these players at Man United need stability. There is some real talent there. Lisandro Martinez is quality. I know he's had another knee injury, which is just so unfortunate for him. But there's quality within him. I think there's a player in Garnacho as an example. I don't necessarily agree as well that buying Casemiro's and Eriksens is a bad thing. Sometimes you need to add that experience. You look at Chelsea right now, what they would give to have 2 or 3 players, 28, 29, 30 years of age, put in this team for the next few years.
No, but I didn't say it was a bad thing, Terry. I just didn't see the future of it. So, like, for example, you knew that Casemiro and Eriksen are going to have a couple of years and they're going to have to be shipped out and then you have to replace them.
No, I understand.
So there was the kind of future with that. Do you know what I'm saying?
I understand that, but sometimes not every signing has to be made with the future in mind. Sometimes you do, because it depends who's available at that moment. Yes, you would love to buy a young Casemiro that you believe is going to get to that level. But if that player isn't available in the market, you bring in a Casemiro for 2 to 3 years while you're looking to fill that void, as an example. So I don't necessarily think everything's been bad at all times, but how we're run, I agree with you 100%. No more backing managers directly with their vision. You have a club vision. You, as a club, you have a style of player you need to play your style of football, and you get the manager in to coach that style. And then you pick a manager that you believe can get the best out of what you're building as a football club. So don't give Ten Hag the power over the next £300 million spent. You make those decisions as a club. And if the manager is struggling to coach them, you sack him and you bring somebody else in that can. That's been our biggest problem in the last 10 years. So for me, I agree with what you said at the beginning, LB. There's a lot of nonsense I've heard from Man United fans who have stated that this part ownership deal is just, it makes SirJim another Glazer. Now that's just ignoring all the facts, even the official documents that have come through. And I know that it's reported that Qatar are going to challenge this, maybe even by law. But all the official legal documents based in America due to the stock exchange that we are on show that the Qatari bidders didn't even show proof of funds or how they would pay. So this idea that SirJim offering a 25% stake made the Glazers act even greedier than they are and say, yeah, we'll brush the Qataris aside and we'll just go for this option. It isn't true. Although the narrative was how he stopped a full takeover by offering a part takeover, which helps the Glazers. In the end, the Glazers said no to 2 bids to buy them outright for one reason or another, one of which was from SirJim. So SirJim went back in and said, well, why don't we try something else? I believe slowly over the course of the next 4 to 5 years, the Glazers will be bought out of this football club. I believe they'll be gone. I do believe that he'll work a way of getting them out. Is it exactly how I wanted it to be? No. But it's better than having the Glazers running us themselves. It just is. So not recognizing that is crazy to me. And yes, I think a lot of Man United fans are deflecting. That, but SirJim's going to ensure that the Glazers get huge amounts of money for the value of the club. Yeah, he is. But that's on you as fans. It's on me as a fan. We are the reason the Glazers are going to make billions because we kept on pumping our money into the club. If we would have done what people like myself have been advocating for 5, 6, 7 years, pool your funds, they would have sold the club for a much lower amount of money nearly a decade ago. But the majority of us are not willing to sacrifice our own personal desires. We do what everybody does in 2024, is we want no responsibility for the situation that we find ourselves in, or our clubs are in, or our careers are in, or our families are in. And we want to blame everybody else for our misgivings. I've got a little bit of pudge around my waist right now. It's on me. I'm eating too much and not exercising enough. Nobody wants to take ownership anymore. It's always it's a thyroid, or the gym's been closed, or I didn't realize they lied about how much salt was in the food. No, you're just greedy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like in life, if you're doing bad in your career, 9 times out of 10, it's because you're not working hard enough or you're not good enough. It isn't because the world's out to get you. And Man United fans are the same. The Glazers are not good for us. 110% not good for us. But feeding them has led to this situation. It's no blaming SirJim for me for them being here. But I think this is going to be a good turning point for Man United. I do. I think if we're run well with good football decision makers, and the one thing that's always stood out for me, whether it was the Qataris or SirJim from day one, is no one's going to part in the end with about £6 billion and do what the Glazers did. That you can't. The Glazers bought the club for 0 pennies of their own money. The club paid debt for years. They didn't put a penny of their own money in. So whatever happened, they were walking away making billions of pounds profit. Even if SirJim, he said he isn't, but let's just say he's lying and he's in this for the money. The only way he's making a return is to make Man United better. We can't keep dwindling away. The stadium can't stay as it is. The training ground can't stay as it is because it will lose value over time. You know, in another 15 to 20 years, when maybe the Ineos look to sell it, if it's all about making money, if we continue to regress, they're not making a return on their investment, no matter what goes on with TV money in the Premier League. Because you know how many Man United fans won't be around by then, and all the new young fans are not picking Man United if we continue to fall away. So they have to make us good on the pitch. They have to make the football good. They have to make us at least challenge for those major trophies. They have to invest in the stadia, which makes the club far more competitive and sustainable. So I'm really excited about this. And it's what I've been asking for over a decade now. Good quality football people running the club. Because I look at Arsenal's turnaround in the last 2 years. Arteta's part of it, but the board is key. I look at City and Pep, a maestro, a brilliant manager. But without you being run the way you are, Pep wouldn't have the foundation to be as brilliant as he has been. And too many Man United fans focus on players and managers. And it's been doing my brain in for the best part of 10 years. It's all about the board. It's all about the ownership, and it's how we're run. Build a solid foundation, and dare I say it, Man United could end up being back, but it's going to take some time.
What time frame do you give him, though, Terry? When are you going to demand that you actually do? Let's say you're starting from now. He comes in. What time frame has he got to realistically feel Man United to be at the top, competing?
So, yeah, again, that's a really great question. At the top competing. So one thing we can't control is how good City, how good Liverpool, how good Arsenal are. So if you guys are running impeccably well, you've got a head start on us. We may not, in the next 3 or 4 years, become better than all of you on a consistent basis. That's too... If you set that as a standard, you're probably going to be disappointed. For me, I would say within 2.5 to 3 years from this point, I would expect Man United to be in a position where we're challenging the titles, maybe not winning them, but at the very least challenging. We don't know who the manager of City will be by then. We don't know where Arsenal will be. We've just got to focus on ourselves. And when I talk about challenging, I don't talk about, I don't mean one good season. I mean at a point where we are in and around that title race from that point moving forward. 2.5 to 3 years, I think. However, I would expect to see an uplift in performances, an uplift in the way we play football. Depends on what we do with new managers. If we get a new manager, I would want to see that pretty quickly. This whole idea that it takes 6 months to a year for a manager to implement his style, I believe that's pretty much nonsense. It is waffle. So the football's got to improve very quickly. Even look at this season as an example. This season's not a write-off. I know that the world gets angry over top 4 trophies. It's not a trophy, but it puts you in the Champions League. And I want to be in the Champions League. One, I want the income from it so we can invest in better players to make our squad better. It does make you slightly more attractive to a particular group of players. And if we improve next year, let's just say we go to another level next year, you want to be in the Champions League because it's a knockout competition. And let's not act like we haven't seen teams win it who nobody expected to win it. So I want us to fight now. We're 5 points behind 5th. They believe there's about a 75% chance the 5th place team in England makes the Champions League, especially if City or Arsenal do a mad one. You know, I don't want City or Arsenal to win it as a rival, but if they did and we came 5th, you're in it next year. There's talk of a big 300 to 400 million pound investment in the summer. That's a lot of that is coming from money that Ineos are going to pump in themselves. And yeah, look, football improving straight away. Fight hard for the rest of this season to try and make the best of what has been an awful campaign. And then I would say 2.5 to 3 years to build a squad and build a team that you look at and say that can challenge year in, year out for the next 4, 5, 6 years, and then beyond that. So
I was going to say, for me, I don't think you can answer that question properly, Dan, because that's not the issue. Because Man United, you know, they have competed with the Glazers. You know, they won everything with Fergie. They come second with Mourinho. They won the Carabao Cup last year. They got to the FA Cup final last year. They got to the Champions League qualification. So their issue hasn't necessarily been competing consistently. It has. Their issue is that they are leaderless at the top. So realistically, and again, I sort of compare it to Chelsea when everyone says, "Oh, Chelsea's such a difficult." It's not. United is not a difficult sort of club to run. Does it have challenges? Yes, but what does SirJim need to come in and do, right? What are the challenges facing him? The stadium, right? Well, he's already made it clear that he wants to sort of invest in that and do that. Okay, you need to speak to the fans and get that sorted. You need to get a proper board, people who know what they're talking about, yeah? Well, he's done that already. He's already appointed a CEO. And as Tel said before, they're already going to start appointing sporting directors. His job is to make sure that he appoints the correct ones, yeah? So that's where you'll judge him. And then on the signings, yeah, take that away from the manager, as you said, because this manager has proved that he is not capable of signing a good player, bar maybe a couple. And I'm not classing Varane and Casemiro as them guys, because bloody hell, I could have said them names. I'm talking about the ones that no one really known about. And then you look back at it, and then you'll look at it in 2 to 3 years' time and said, okay, if we judge SirJim, you can't judge him necessarily off what's happened on the pitch. What you do is you judge him off the people that he employed. So the CEO, the sporting directors, them people. You know what I mean? Because like I say, I've always said this, you know, as crap as Man United have been, they'll always be in the top 8, top 7. And that might not be great for some of them, but they'll always be there because they spend so much money. So for SirJim, it's about appointing the correct people, because Man United have spent £1 billion since Fergie left. If they would have spent that better, they would have been a better team. That's their issue.
Yeah. And I've never complained. I've never complained about how much we've spent. I've complained on how much we've wasted it.
Correct.
And that's in some respects, that's even more infuriating. You know, I've always looked at it like this. You got two deadbeat dads, but one of the deadbeat dads has no money because he can't bother to work. That's a scumbag. The other guy, though, he's a deadbeat dad because he earns lots of money, but he doesn't give it to his kids. He buys sports cars. So both kids are in the same, both sets of children in the same position where their dad ain't giving them money, but one of them's got it but wastes it. In some regards, that's more infuriating because there should be no excuses. There should be no excuse for us to be where we are when we pay the wages we do and we invest the money that we have done. It's just that and this is the 5 different projects in 10 years on 5 different managers is crazy. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. The future, how this is going to look. It's not quite how I wanted it. I wanted the Glazers completely gone, but the people we're looking to employ, a lot of what I'm reading, a lot of what we're hearing, we're trying to do at the football club, the infrastructure, even just announcing we're building a new stadium or we're going to spend 800 million renovating one. That will improve the football team by a few percentages. The Newcastle players have spoken about this, that as soon as the new regime came in, that these guys were doing ice baths in Argos paddling pools at the training ground. And players have said it sent a message about how serious they were. He said within weeks of the new ownership properly being involved, new people coming in, we could feel a difference at the club, and it motivated everybody to work harder, run harder, play harder. And it happens in normal workplaces. You know, if a company invests in great staff facilities and great benefits for its staff, people work harder. So if we suddenly, the players learn, wow, look, they're spending 800 million on increasing the stadium, it's going to be 80,000, 90,000. I hope we do something crazy and build 100,000 seater, because I know we can sell it out. We can definitely fill it. You know, do something crazy. What that kind of motivation is there. New training facilities instead of, I know Ronaldo called it out. The same broken machines that were there when he left in 2009 were still at the club. All these little things, I think, give you percentages. You're not going to get a new stadium and go from being the worst team in the league to the best team. But if it gives you an extra 5%, and the new training ground gives you another 5%, and then the way the club is run culturally, 5%, then you're buying better players that are suited to the manager that you have, another 5-10%. Suddenly, if you're 20 or 30, Man United were 20 or 30% better over the last 10 years, we'd have been challenging for league titles. So it's loads of little things that need to improve, and then consistency at the club. And look, I'm excited about it because at the very least, it's going to be different to what we've experienced. And you can't do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. At least we're doing things a little different now. But viewers, let us know what you think in the comments section. This year says building an elite squad at Man United requires SirJim to make tough choices on players and coaching. Unfortunately, SirJim needs a team of experts, not bankers. I mean, that's what he's got, though. He's already started with the individuals that he's bringing in. Blanc is going to be on the board. He's brought in Omar Barada from Man City, who is, of course, got great experience. I guarantee you the footballing director and sporting director, if we have two, are going to be names that have a good pedigree within football. So you're right, Akash, but they're building that team right now. This year is an interesting one. You've all been fooled by thinking that top 4 means anything.
I've not been filled into anything, but it definitely means something. Would you rather finish 6th or 4th?
Do you know what it is? It's not the celebrating of 4th place or 3rd place. People have, maybe it's eras, and maybe because the younger generation have only really seen 1 or 2 teams every year in England in the last, say, decade or so that have genuinely been good enough to win the Champions League. But in our era, especially in our adolescence watching, every team in England that qualified for the Champions League, barring the year that Everton got in, had a chance of winning it. So for me, you're not celebrating coming 4th. You're celebrating being in the Champions League, meaning you've got a chance of winning that trophy the following year. If you're not in it, you definitely don't win it. It's a guarantee. I swear to you. If you're not in the Champions League, it's impossible to win. So yeah, it does mean something without a doubt. When will you end your Man United merch and ticket protest?
Is it over, Terry? Is it over? Oh, look, he's thinking about it, chat. Is it over?
Listen, I miss not buying the kit. I want to buy the kids the kits, right? I miss I used to look at one of the weirdest things I found again in the last decade is people, like, I don't know, an Arsenal fan buying a PSG shirt. I get it's fashionable because it's got Jordan on it, but I think, how are you funding another club's endeavors? It's always been a weird alien concept to me. So I want to put money into the club because I want to help its endeavors. So for me, the Glazers are not fully gone. The idea was we'd get a new owner day one. I had this idea if we were going to, as soon as we announced a new 100% owner, I was going to do a stream in full kit. I was going to wear boots and everything. I was going to do a full kit wanker show, right? And do it. Now I look at it this way. I'm still going to leave it a while. I'm going to see what SirJim does. If we start announcing new stadiums, investment, and it's more, is there a plan to 100% remove the Glazers? I think all of that's going to come to fruition. And as long as we can see that's the plan, then I'll start to invest, because then I'm investing in the end of the Glazers, and I can look at that as something worthwhile putting my money into. What I can't do is invest it if it's a bad plan and we're not doing anything really to improve the club. Again, I'm not throwing good money after bad. It's pointless. So it's hopefully ending soon.
On that, Terry, just quickly, right? Because I had arguments with this years ago when we were talking about it ourselves, and I was always one of the guys that went into the stadium. I was always like, look, I'm not going to give up my season ticket. I always enjoy wearing Arsenal shirts. I'm not one of those guys. What I won't start doing is waving a scarf around my head saying "Cronky out" after buying one in his armory and drinking his beer. But what I would, for me, is it kind of a, I can't do that because it's just, I can't do it. Or do you actually genuinely think that is helping to get towards getting the Glazers out? Because I was asked that question myself. Why do people do that? Like, do they do it because they feel like that's their part and then no one can complain them? They can slate the owners all they want because they don't buy any of their merch? Or is it just like, at least I've done my bit? Or is it just like, what the hell am I doing this for? Because no one else is. If I don't buy it, somebody from Japan, China, or abroad will go and do it. So do you see what I'm saying? I'm not having a dig at you. I'm just trying to get...
I hear you. I have those thoughts. Sometimes I think I am a drop in the ocean. I'm a drop in the ocean, and what I've done has made very little impact, and I understand that. It wasn't about me being because when I first gave up I had 2 season tickets in the Stretford End, which took me 15 years to get. I bought kits regularly. I'd pump money into the club, paid membership, did MUTV, did everything I could financially. I was always one of those people that felt there was a great player we wanted. I always thought we should do like sub a GoFundMe, let's raise it as fans and give it to the club. That's how much I would do anything for my club. And then it just hit me, and I realized these owners don't care about me, and every penny I give, they're wasting it and spending it in areas that I think are damaging my football club. And it just became about, I'm not going to do, like, for instance, I view it like this. I'm not going to vote for the Tories because I don't like how they run this country. But I also know that me personally not voting hasn't stopped them from getting in. But I know it's still, I'm not going to vote for them just because I think they're going to win the election. So I'm not going to give my money. I'm not going to do that just because somebody else will. That wasn't an excuse. The way I am as a person, if I have a real problem with something, I'll do my best to not participate in it. That's generally how I am. Equally, you don't see me tweet about certain other issues around the world that I then partake in. I'm not going to moan about climate change whilst driving my BMW and getting on airplanes. I find that I just can't do it because for me, people like that make me feel a bit queasy. I used to work with a guy in the bank, and this is the person who probably scarred me with this. He used to speak all day about how an anti-capitalist he was. And he used to go to anti-capitalist marches, but he was an investment banker. And it never made sense to me. And he used to wind me up every day as a young man in the bank. And it's probably him that set me down this path of saying, well, if you don't like something, don't participate. But I'm not going to lie. I do have days where I regret it. I miss going to games. I miss the atmosphere. I miss going with my mates. But I will eventually go back. But I need to see there's a proper plan to get the Glazers out, because I'm not giving those men any of my money personally, because I think they're scumbags, to be honest.
Fair, man. Fair.
This here says, but equally, I've always said, I don't think I'm any better a fan for doing that. I don't think people are worse fans if they give money. It's not how I view it. It's kind of an individual thing. A genuine question. I wonder where the money for the new stadium will come from. Will Jim pump in 1.5 billion? Some of it will be pumped in, but they'll get investment. They'll get investment from companies. So you might get, Ineos might invest the money themselves, but you might get someone that comes along and, it might not be called Old Trafford anymore. It might be called, I don't know, the Apple Stadium, because Apple pay for a lot of it or whatever. But they'll raise the money for investment, my friend. Big up Terry and TFT, but you sure you're not Jamaican? We're always late. You may be Jamaican. I'm not going to comment on that, but just the camera weren't working, my friend. But there we go. Viewers, let us know what you think about SirJim coming in. Will it make an impact at Manchester United? Let us know in the comments section below. Make sure like buttons are being smashed as well. Staying up north, Liverpool. It's emerged today that the heavy favourite to take over from Jurgen Klopp is Alonso. He's doing an absolute madness right now in Germany. I think he's 5 points ahead of Bayern Munich. They're unbeaten. They're looking at doing an invincible season. And he's also now tipped with becoming the new Liverpool manager, to a point where Monday Night Football even did a segment on him. What do you think, Dan? Is this the right guy to take over, do you think, from Klopp, or do you think maybe he's still a little bit too wet behind the ears?
I don't know enough about Xabi Alonso, but what I will say is what he's doing is extremely impressive in his early days. And Bayern Leverkusen are not a poor side, but you don't look at them and go, "Cool, yeah, you can see why they're up there. Look at the players they got. Look at everything behind it. Bayern Munich ain't got a chance." You don't look at that. So they've actually been very, very respected, and that's down to him. I think the playing style is clear to see, and we saw that last night. Jamie Carragher did a great bit on how he plays and out from the back, and there's certain parts that he's in and out of possession where it changes. Really impressed with him against Bayern Munich, a team that everyone respects, and let's be real, has been the absolute whipping boys over there. They've been absolutely killing everybody over in the Bundesliga. So I look at what Liverpool fans will think. I think they want him, because obviously there's that link there of him playing for the club. And he was always seen as a top talent. I thought he was a really, really good footballer, Xabi Alonso. So he's definitely got a footballing brain. He comes from that kind of ilk, and similar to how we got Mikel Arteta in terms of how he's grown up in football and where he's gone. I believe Mikel Arteta is actually his best friend in football. They grew up together and they kind of had a similar kind of footballing career. They've learned off of some of the best as well. And they played under some of the best as well. So I think when Xabi Alonso will look at his footballing career, he'll actually have learned quite a lot. And he's brought some of that into his management style and career. So I think Liverpool fans will look at this and get quite excited, because similarly to how Arsenal did with Mikel Arteta, where it's like we don't really know much about him, but we've heard good things. Actually, they're a little bit of a step further forward, because this is not Xabi Alonso's first job in football. So I think personally, when you look at it, I think Liverpool fans will be quite excited by this. The only thing I will say is he's not a proven winner yet, and we will see whether he is a proven winner at the end of this season. I actually think they will win the Bundesliga. I've not been massively impressed by Bayern Munich. I think Harry Kane has definitely improved them. But actually, when you look at it, I think Bayern Leverkusen should go and win the league now. At the first start of the season, no one has been able to do much other than lose to them at the moment. So I think they've got a great opportunity. They're very, very kind of tipped to be doing well in the Europa League as well. It was only really Liverpool, I would say, in that competition where they would look at and probably fear the way they're playing at the moment. So I think this could be a potentially good move for Liverpool. Now, will he compete with what Klopp's done? Very, very difficult to do that. Jurgen Klopp will go down as one of the best Premier League managers, and certainly one of the best managers that Liverpool have had in Premier League history. So that's going to be very difficult for him to replicate. But I think Liverpool fans will probably be giving him and getting behind him because of the link, of course, with Liverpool. So this could be exciting, to be honest, for Liverpool fans. It really could. And I think that they would look at a few options and go, right, what do we want? Do we want a Carlo Ancelotti, Diego Simeone, Hansi Flick type manager that says, I win things? Or do they want to go down the kind of style of, no, we're happy to give Xabi Alonso some time because we like what we see and we like his current link? And I think they'd rather go with the latter. So I don't think there's many Liverpool fans that will be against this, Terry. I really don't.
I listen, when you ask, is this a good decision? Who knows? Unfortunately, there's not that many great managers that Liverpool can go out there and get. Even the ones that have won stuff in the past, have only maybe done it once. You know what I mean? If you look at if you've got like the Flicks of this world, or Tuchel's, you're not going to get them, for example. But there's no one out there. You can go get Ancelotti. You're going to get him from Real Madrid? Probably not. Obviously, he's got the Everton link there as well. So I think that Liverpool should go down this road. So then you've got to ask the question, well, who are you going to get? Is it going to be him? Is it going to be De Zerbi? Obviously, Alonso's got that link to Liverpool. But I just think Liverpool fans just have to accept that it's a bit of a shot in the dark. He's doing a great job. But, he has only managed them for 68 matches. Yeah, so let's not go too crazy on it. Played some good football. He's got some great players. Because obviously Dan's saying they have got some great players, obviously. Vert's in there. He's a player. He is a big player. Xhaka this year has been phenomenal for them. But yeah, listen, it's just one of them, isn't it? I mean, like, what are you going to do? Well, the one thing that I would say is it looks like he plays a slightly different style to Klopp. He plays more possession-based, getting the ball forward. I feel like Liverpool are a bit more direct under Klopp. But You know, at the end of the day, everyone has to go through this. United went through it when Fergie left. Arsenal went through it when Wenger left, and City will go through it when Pep Guardiola leaves. When great managers leave, you have to change it up. You know what I mean? So, and I agree. I've heard some Liverpool fans to say they don't really want a second Klopp. They don't want a manager who plays like Klopp. They want to change the style because it'll be easier to get away. So, if it was me, would I go for him? Possibly, because who else is there out there, really?
That's a big thing. And look, there is a difference that they pass. And I watched the breakdown that Monday Night Football did, and it was really insightful about, there's far more passing. There are far more a team that passes the ball more. But do I see that being difficult for this group of Liverpool players to adapt to? No, because they're already good at passing the ball. It's just a little bit less. It's just that they're not as direct. Now, you might find Alonso comes to England and goes, actually, but here I'm going to be a little more direct, because Pep doesn't play the same football now that he did, exactly the same football now that he did at Barca and then he did at Bayern. There's always going to be an adaptation to it. And I think that's what's key. But then he is inexperienced. At the same time, if he wins the league this year, I didn't realize this until yesterday. Bayer Leverkusen, and I want to go and check that this was right. I'm sure that they haven't made this up. They've never won the league. And not every great manager has to do something great in their first year or two or at a smaller club. But a lot of the greats have. What Jose did with Porto, what Sir Alex Ferguson did with Aberdeen, Pep Guardiola going straight into Barcelona and doing what he did and dominating Spain and European football from the get-go. And there's probably other examples out there that are not familiar with me at the top of my head. But Alonso, it's almost, if he was to break the stranglehold that Bayern Munich have had, get Bayer Leverkusen to win their first ever league title. They've won one national trophy, and that was they won the Pokal in '93. They've been Champions League runners-up, and they did win the UEFA Cup in 1988. So they've won 2 trophies in their entire history. For him to go there in this era as well, build this excellent squad that you've mentioned, and there are some really good players in there, and some that he's sort of turned. They signed Grimaldo for free. He's doing brilliantly. You've got Jeremy Frimpong that looks really good. I know Boniface is out right now, but they've got some good players in there. But for him to do that, you look at who else is available and attainable. They're not getting Pep. They're not getting Ancelotti. I don't think Simeone wants to leave Atti. As much as I rate him, he doesn't. So Dan doesn't want to manage in England. What else are you going to do? At least this guy has got something on his CV that the De Zerbis of this world and the like don't have. He's gone and not just won a massive league, but he's won it with a team that was nowhere near fancied, that has never won it in their career. So if he doesn't win it, if he falls away from this point, it's a different kind of question mark. But showing that he has that staying power means he can handle the pressure. On top of that, he would have a Liverpool fans grew a very big dislike for Harry Kane. I think it was claiming that goal when Kane and Mo Salah were firing it out. If he's the manager that stops Harry Kane from winning a trophy, there's an added little bit of love in there. They love him anyway because he's obviously a legend of their football club. But I think they've got to go for him to a point where, watching what I did last night, I kind of want him at Man United. And that could be me being very reactionary. I could be very reactionary with that. But there's a romance in it for me, because a lot of people don't know this, and you two probably maybe you don't. Obviously, you've all heard of Sir Matt Busby, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he was a very good Liverpool player before he was a Man United manager. So there's this part of me, and it's maybe history repeat. I look at this. I think he's got the potential, Alonso, to become a great manager, especially if he wins. I sort of look at it and think, could we repeat history again by taking a very young, potentially special manager who was a Liverpool player, who was a Liverpool legend, but then he becomes a great Man United manager? I kind of love that. There's something about that I find beautiful, because it would irk Liverpool at the same time as us being better. However, I do think he's going to end up being the manager of Liverpool Football Club, and I've got an horrible feeling. I've got an horrible feeling that he's going to be very good for them. I really do.
I agree. I think he is going to go there. Whether he'll be a great manager or not, we don't know. But he's certainly shown glimpses of what he can do at early stages, which is looking good. You know, for him to come in, walk into a first job at a club that hasn't won anything really. When you look at its history, if he goes and wins that league, I mean, it's going to be funny to laugh at Harry Kane as well, by the way. But what's also going to be great, obviously, for him and what they've done is impressive. And if he can go and replicate that at Liverpool, Liverpool fans will be very happy, man. Very happy.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much right. I mean, not only could Harry Kane miss out, but it could be that they could go invincible as well. There's an Arsenal connection to that. Does that make sense? It's just that there's like an Arsenal connection. Can you imagine when you sign for Bayern Munich? It's pretty much a guarantee of league titles. Imagine. It would be so Tottenham and Harry Kane of him to go there and win. I mean, and win nothing this year potentially, and win nothing.
Are they in their German Cup thing, their equivalent to the FA Cup thing? They must be still in that, surely.
And I think they got knocked out, didn't they?
You're joking, really?
I swear they got knocked out of it a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my God! So did they win the Champions League or Bundesliga?
Yeah, the DFB Pokal, didn't they? They got beat off a team called Saarbrücken.
Joking me?
They got beat in the second round off a team called Saarbrücken. Who are
so Tottenham, man.
Yeah. You're right. There we go. There it is. Yeah. They got that was at the beginning of November. Yeah. They got beat. So, do you know you go on comment like this? This could be a disaster.
It's hilarious.
equally. Listen. I know he won the Champions League, and generally, like the Champions League qualifies you as being a top manager. But Thomas Tuchel, but this is gulag settings. You can't when you take over PSG or Bayern Munich. If you don't win your league title, there's problems. If you don't win anything in a season, that's problem. Because I genuinely believe. You give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer one of those two clubs, he wins a league title still. I even think Lampard could do it. I just don't think it's hard to win with those teams. You have such a... I don't think football fans understand sometimes the monopoly those clubs have in their country. I mean, the German football pyramid is set up to make Bayern Munich win. It's literally the way it operates. You know, it's the only... It's crazy. But yeah, can you imagine who wins nothing?
Going to PSG and Bayern Munich and not winning the league is just mad for me. Like absolutely mad, you know, and as a player as well, you know, like let's be real. If Harry Kane doesn't win something this year, you can't say, "Oh, what a flop he's been." He's been absolutely killing it, mate. He's been killing it out there. He's been banging the goals in. So you can't look at him individually and say, "What a disgrace." But what you can do is go, "Hey, it's just not going to happen for you, is it?" Like literally, you're not going to win anything. You are going to win the Golden Boot yet again and still have no trophy to actually live for your team. It's absolutely crazy, man. It really is.
And like Bayern Munich won like the last 9 leagues or something like crazy or something like that. Like.
It's 11, I think. I think it's 11.
Wow.
11 in a row, I'm sure it is.
That is actually mad, that, yo.
Because they should have lost it last year. But Dortmund should have won it last year.
And he's got 24 goals in 21 games. He's actually still on course, Harry Kane, to break the record for most goals scored in a Bundesliga season ever in the history of it. But that would be typical Harry Kane. He'll break that 100+ year record and win nothing. It's just crazy. It's a mad one if it does happen. But yeah, Tuchel. There's talk that Jose Mourinho may get the job.
Where at? Bayern.
Wow.
Bayern, yeah.
Saw that coming, to be honest with you.
Wow.
They don't really seem like. I feel like Bayern have gone a bit weird over the last few years, man. Like everything just seems a bit toxic. I mean, remember last year when you constantly had the news about the teams being leaked and someone was leaking the teams, and you know Nagelsmann had problems. Even Pep, when he was there, he had problems with the staff, and you know now Tuchel's falling out with the players. Have you seen how many players, by the way, have got 18 months left on the contract at Bayern?
Really? I haven't.
Bro, yeah, I've got it up here. Like, listen to this. Yeah, this is Bayern Munich contracts. Where is it? Agents and contracts. These are all players that end in the next 18 months. Here we go. Let's have a look. So you got Manuel Neuer, contract ends in 2025. Thomas Muller, 2025. Joshua Kimmich, 2025. Leroy Sané, 2025. Alphonso Davies, 2025. That's 18 months left on the deal. That means, you know, in less than a year, teams could be getting the, discussing with them in January.
And it's basically 12 months because it's like the rest of this season. So as of this summer, those players can start talking. No, as of next January, they can start talking to other. Yeah, exactly. That's crazy.
Exactly, man. It's mad. And you know, I watched the game the other night, the Bayern Leverkusen Bayern Munich game, and I've watched this year about 7 or 8 Bayern games, right? And I'm genuinely being serious. I've not seen them play well in one of them. Even when they played you guys and beat you, Terry, I thought they looked very great, to be honest with you. You put 3 past them. I was just like, very, very. They got battered by Leipzig in the Super Cup on match day 1 when the Spanish lad scored a hat trick. Leverkusen were much the better side. Musiala absolutely ghosted the other night. Wirtz, well better than him, it looks like. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, they've got serious problems by Munich. And then you see him signing Eric Dyer on loan. What's going on here, man? Eric Dyer to Bayern Munich.
They're trying to get them all, though. Like, they tried to get Trippier. They tried to get Walker. They've got Harry Kane. They're trying to get Dyer. What are they trying to do? Put Poch's old team back together? It's bizarre,
I don't know what
man.
they're doing, man. That's what I'm saying. The last few years, they failed to get out the quarterfinals of the Champions League for the past 3 years in a row. You know, I think 2 of them they had kind of difficult. I think they got beat off PSG. I think maybe City or someone done them, but then they got beat off Villarreal. You know what I mean? So they just seem to be a club that needs a little bit of a reset, man.
No, I don't disagree. I mean, I don't know who's like running their club now. Like who's at the
I think it was Oliver Kahn and some other guy, but I believe they've been told to step down at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think they've gone. Yeah, I thought the same. I read that they're gone. It's listen, they're such a giant club. You know, they've won so much, but as you say, it's just it doesn't look good right now. If they start losing, like I think Alphonso Davies will go as an example. The way Joshua Kimmich, I think he's going to end up at City, which is bad for all of us, if true, because that just makes you guys even better. But that's some of their best players, and yeah, a penny for Harry Kane's thoughts if they don't win anything this year. Thankfully for him, Spurs ain't going to win anything either. But can you imagine if they had done? It would be crazy. But yeah, Jose going there's an interesting one because he's wanted another big club since he left Man United 6 years ago and hasn't been offered that opportunity. I just don't. And I think I think he would be such a typical example of what you're talking about, LB. Just he ain't it anymore. Like I know there's a lot of people that love Jose. I love Jose of old, but he ain't it no more. You know, he needs to be put out to pasture. He's not a manager for that level. He'll go there and it's going to end in disaster. It really is. It really, really is. But we will see. Viewers, let us know what you think. This is a weird comment from El Captain. He says, but you make money off Man United. I make money off of talking about football in general, and that does include Manchester United. But if you can explain to me how that helps keep the Glazers in power, let me know, my bro. Please, let me know. Thank you. I appreciate the super chat, my G. Chelsea last night, boys. What do you make of Chelsea? I don't know what to say about it much anymore. A good win. Late goals, though. 2 big away wins in the space of a week. Fans last night, they were calling from out even harder than they were after the Wolves defeat. What are we saying? Because, and then you get some that are like, no, he's proven he can turn, you know, are they turning a corner? Is it the manager getting everyone on side? What are you saying, LB? Because they're just, I mean this with respect. They're a weird team right now and a weird club right now.
We need to chill out a little bit, on Chelsea, right? Because it wasn't too long ago. I think they won 4 out of 5 Premier League games or something like that, and everyone was like, "Oh, a Chelsea back." You know what I mean? And then actually, you have a look at the fixtures, right? And then the run that they had. Here you go. The run that they went on. They beat Palace, Luton, Preston. Then they went to Fulham, got a 1-0 win, beat Middlesbrough. You know what I mean? Everyone was like, "Oh, they're back." You know, they come against Aston Villa, draw. Come up against Liverpool, lose. Come up against Wolves, lose. So I think that what it's starting to show me is that maybe against the weaker sides, they're starting to get consistent and show the dominance, and they can actually beat the weaker sides at the bottom of the table. But when they come up against a difficult opponent, they are, you know, still struggling a little bit. You know, people say, "Oh, but they beat Aston Villa." I thought Aston Villa was shocking that day, to be honest, and so do Aston Villa fans. The real test is now. You know, they got City at the weekend, Liverpool coming up there as well. So these are the games that, and then they got Liverpool in the cup. You know, these are the games really that we should be judging Chelsea off. You know, they spent £1 billion. Yeah, they got this manager in that I still think is a bit of a fraud. You know, again, are we really going to sit here and praise them for beating Crystal Palace? You know, Crystal Palace, by the way, you know what I mean? Most of their fans want Robertson gone. So I'm not really going to sit here and praise Chelsea Football Club for beating Crystal Palace. And if if any Chelsea fan thinks that's harsh, then I'm sorry, but you've dropped your standards, because you should be beating Crystal Palace. You've bet £1 billion. You should be beating Crystal Palace. I'll judge you when you play City and you play Liverpool and you play Spurs. Yeah, I think that's Chelsea's next 3 matches. Oh, the Chelsea game's been postponed because obviously it's the Carabao Cup. Yeah, I'll judge you off these next 2 games, and then you got Chelsea, you got Newcastle coming up at the start. And these are the games that I want to see. Well, I don't want to see it, but these are the games that we should be judging Chelsea off. You know, if Chelsea get a result at the weekend, buzzing for them. If they manage to somehow win against Liverpool in the cup final, then I might sit here and go, you know what? Maybe he did just need some time, and he's really starting to influence. But if he gets beat off City, gets beat off Liverpool, we're back to square one again. So I just think we just need to chill out a little bit on Chelsea. You know, here's a bit of credit I'll give them. Yeah, they do look like they've got a little bit more plan about them. Yeah, like when I watched them last night. You know, they looked like they knew what they were going to do. I thought Gary Neville was waffling quite a lot during the commentary, to be honest with you, about they don't look like they're going to score. Well, I thought they were getting the ball into some good areas. It was just about that moment. Conor Gallagher, great finish from him. But yeah, listen, I'm sorry if that's controversial, but I don't think we should be judging Chelsea when they play Crystal Palace. With all due respect to Crystal Palace, we should be judging Chelsea when they play City, when they play Liverpool, when they play Newcastle, Arsenal, United, Tottenham, because they're the better teams, and that's what they should be competing with. That's a fair comment to make.
Yeah, I'm with you, LB. Like, everything you've just said, I honestly don't need to repeat, because I agree with every word of it. And yeah, the last couple of games, Caicedo, Enzo, and Gallagher have started to prove that they can actually work together as a midfield. I think Cole Palmer's been their best player by far. I honestly look at him and think that was a fantastic bit of business, really good signing, and he's again got on the GA again last night. I think he assisted both goals, if I'm correct.
Yeah, Cole Palmer was good.
Yeah, really, really good signing. But I think Chelsea's standards are just in the gutter. I mean, they're like all over the place, arguing with each other. You've got some fan base that are from the Roman era going, what have they done to our club? We always at the top. We should be. We're Chelsea. And the last 2 decades, we've always been at the top. And you've got some fans that are like, well, we're in 11th and it's the manager's fault because the players are brilliant. Like, everyone wants our players. Look at them. No, harsh reality check. Sorry, spoiler alert. Nobody really wants your players. Yeah, nobody is really jealous about you spending 200 or 300 million on a midfield that is probably worth about 150 million. No one is jealous of that. You know what I mean? It's weird. I don't get it. When Gallagher's one of your better players, apparently this season, that's a problem. That is an issue because he's been one of their better players for Palace and West Brom when he's been on loan. He shouldn't be one of the best players at Chelsea. So for me, there is issues at Chelsea for sure. And I think if they had anything about them as a fan base that you could unite, then Poch would have gone by now, you know, because when the fans talk, the fans really do talk, and then they have to pull the plug, which is basically what happened with Arsenal with Emery, you know, because as much as he's a great manager, it wasn't working for him and everything at the top was just an absolute mess. Now, I look at the same situation with Pochettino and think that there needs to be something changing. And I don't think it is all Pochettino. I think the whole club is an absolute mess. I think Todd Bowley is completely and utterly reckless. How to waste £1 billion. I think LB and I have spoken about this before. Or €1 billion, because when you say £1 billion, everyone goes, it's not. It's 890, which is always quite funny for me. But there we go. Listen, we are in a situation right now where we are looking at Chelsea trying to fight for a top half, not top 4, top half position in the league. That is a disgrace for Chelsea Football Club with the money they've spent and the players that they've got. That shouldn't be happening. Some of that is on Poch, 100%. But I honestly don't think, Terry, if you was to actually sack him and get a new manager in, that anything changes really. I can't really sit there and say that it would, because I just don't think the team looks good enough. And with LB, you beat Villa. Villa look beatable at the moment. You beat Palace. Palace are a shambles. People are talking them potentially going down. So I don't then go, oh, well, Chelsea are back. I reckon if they'll go and win that Carabao Cup now and they'll get in the top 4. No, I still think Chelsea will struggle this season. So nothing's really changed from where I was at the start of the season to now, if I'm honest.
I disagree with you on that, Dan, though.
What do you mean?
You don't think if they had a better manager, they wouldn't be higher than they are?
No, I didn't say that. I said I don't think they'd get much better than where around where they are now. They'll probably fight for maybe European football, maybe.
So I don't think do you not think that's sackable then?
What, Pochettino?
Yeah. Would you not sack him then?
Yeah, I would have sacked him before now. Yeah, 100%.
Because I'm hearing this quite a lot about like people saying, "Oh, well, I won't sack him because I don't see what would change." Well, what would change is you could potentially get European football. So why would you not sack him?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I'm
I feel
just
like
saying, I think some people look at the situation and think it's Pochettino. If it weren't for him, we could get in the Champions League by now with his squad. I don't think that squad's good enough. I'm sorry, I do not look at that squad. How many of those players would you? You said this about Man United and we all bantered it. I don't think we're far off with Chelsea, if I'm honest. I don't look at Man United squad and Chelsea squad and go, wow. I mean, Man United must be absolutely looking at Chelsea squad right now going, I wish that was our squad. Would you, Terry? I would not. If I was Man United, there is not much difference there. You might look at Enzo, you might look at Caicedo, you might look at Cole Palmer. After that, you're looking right. Petrovic, he looks all right, I suppose, but I don't look at him and go, "Wow, Alisson better watch out."
I think Chelsea have. I think Chelsea have some good players. You got Malo Gusto in.
But how many have they got? Though? Do you look at that Chelsea squad, LB, and go, "That is"? I mean, look. I personally, I don't look at that squad and go, okay." There's about 9 or 10 players there that I'd happily take into my Arsenal squad. I don't really do that. I like Reece James when he's fit, but I wouldn't take him because he's just made of glass. I like Ben Chilwell, but he's made of glass. Thiago Silva is apparently the best centre half. He's nearly 40. Like, where are we going here? Like, honestly, Caicedo, I like him a lot, but he hasn't really cut the mustard at Chelsea, in my opinion. Enzo, yeah, he looks all right. I don't really get what he is. I don't know if he's a attacking mid, a number 8.
I thought he was very good last night, Enzo. I think
he's one of the best players in the last 2 games. But where's that been? Like, where has that been consistently? And then you look up top. Do you want Nicholas Jackson? Not for me. Do you want Broja? Not for me. He's now gone to Fulham. Who else have they got up there? I don't even know who they got now. They got one striker and then Jackson, and he's now out apparently in suspended. Sterling, you will know about him. I wouldn't really say he's awful, but I think he's kind of, all right player. So Cole Palmer and Caicedo are absolute definites. Other than that, LB, how many are you taking at City squad?
I'm taking more from them than I would United.
Okay, that's fair. But my point is not. My point is, like, how many more? Like, really, like, how many are you taking? Who are you taking in the squad then? Go on, name them.
I'd take Malo Gusto. Enzo. I would actually take Enzo. I would take Cole Palmer. I'm a massive fan of Cole Palmer.
You've just sold him to him.
I didn't fucking sell him, did I? I didn't want us to sell him. I wanted him to stay. I don't fucking want us to sell him. Nkunku's a top player. Sterling's better than probably most United wingers on his day.
No, I'm talking about City. Who are you taking in the City squad? You know what, Sterling? You just said Sterling and Palmer. You sold them to them.
Yeah, no, look, what I'm saying is they've got better players. I think they've got better players.
Do you know what? Do you know what? I get where you're coming. I look at it this way: when Chelsea was signing these players, I don't know about you, Dan, but a lot of people were looking at it going, "Oh God, that's a good player. It's a good player." It's how they've assembled them and who they have managing them that I think is the problem. And what I mean by assembled is they need some experience in there. It's a bit like the Man United situation. They're in this predicament because of how they've been run. Now, I'm not a big fan of Poch. Never have been, never will be. I do think he is part of the problem. The way they played in the first half yesterday, the slow, monotonous play. And I know that they played faster against Villa, and Villa don't play over low block, and Palace did. But it was just like watching paint dry. I just don't see that's the players are being instructed to do it. Like, as in, I don't think the players are doing it off their own back. They're being told to do it. Start of the second half, they're obviously being told, right, pick up the pace. They picked up the pace and scored within a few minutes. Then they started creating better opportunities, better openings, better chances. It just took them until late to win the game, but it doesn't mean you didn't sort of deserve it in terms of the second half. I do think, again, if you got the club to be run better, brought in some elder statesmen to help that team, and then brought in a better manager, I think we'd be talking very differently about a lot of these players. I think there's a lot of talent in this Chelsea team, but it's a lot of talent that could go to waste if the club isn't run right. A theory I have is this: if you take KDB from 5 years ago and put him in the Man United squad, and you put Bruno Fernandes in the City squad, the world views those two players differently today. Same with Chelsea, if vice versa. In the sense of when clubs are run poorly, when they keep changing managers, when there's no real plan as a club, you could erode the best talent and quickly. Whereas if your club is run well and you've got a brilliant manager and the ethos is great, you can take a player that's very good and they'll always look that little bit better. You know, how many players left Barca? Not the superstars of the Barca team, but didn't look as good elsewhere. A lot of players have left City, gone elsewhere. They don't look as good as when they were at City because they're not part of that same team and that same ethos. So I don't know with Chelsea. I look at it as, honestly, they confuse me. 1 minute I think I get them and understand, the next minute I don't. One of the other things that I find confusing at the minute is, I know Chelsea fans hate this being said, but we'll say it. Conor Gallagher has been one of their best players this year, without a shadow of a doubt. I'm not even saying he's that great, but he's been one of their best players. They are going to offer him a new deal, but the word is still that he's going to be sold. So I look at it and think, in terms of, you said earlier about future-proofing. I get, sometimes you buy an older player, look, you're going to play a lot of football for the next year or two until we bleed somebody else through. But why are you playing Conor Gallagher week in, week out if you're going to sell him as a club in the summer? If you're at the beginning of a project and he's young, you're better off using somebody else who's part of your plans. That's the element of Chelsea that I don't get. There's lots of areas
where could be FFP. They need to cash.
No, I get it, and so they've got to play him, so they've got to move him on. But then you're not trying to develop a team right now. You're essentially putting some players in there just so you get money for them. Again, if you're a Chelsea fan, that should worry the living daylights out of you. That's a horrible place to be in. Well, we don't really want to play Gallagher. We want to sell him, but we've got to play him so we can get the money so we can spend. Now, Ben Jacobs has kind of poured cold water over that by saying Chelsea have got about 200 million to spend ever before they sell anybody. He's the only, listen, I know he's well connected at Chelsea, so he could be right. A lot of financial experts and a lot of other journalists think that is nonsense, and it remains to be seen. But if it's not nonsense, why is there such a clamber to sell all these players? I get the Broyer's not good enough, etc. But I don't know. I think they're actually better off selling Reece James than they are Conor Gallagher. Not because Conor Gallagher's better than Reece James. Reece James can't stay fit. Someone will buy him.
Yeah, I agree. I think Reece James has got like serious problem now in terms of the hype that was around him. Maybe 18 months ago. You know, it's slowly dying off. You know, I'm when you're scrolling through like TikTok and that, and like people are having these debates about the best right back and the best English right back. Some of these people are not even including Reece James in the conversation. It's Trent, Trippier, and Walker. Whereas 18 months ago he was involved in that conversation. People are not really speaking about him anymore because he's, at the end of the day, you have to stay fit. Do you know what I mean? And like, when he's fit, we all know he's a good player, but ultimately it's kind of irrelevant, right? If you're only going to play 15, 20 games a season, it's kind of irrelevant. So he really needs to focus on getting himself fit, because if he doesn't, his career will just pass him by. We've seen this happen to loads of players in the past. You know, we're not being dramatic. We've seen loads of players look at Thiago, for example, at Liverpool. How long's he been there? 4 or 5 years, something like that. He's not even played 100 matches yet. So he needs to sort that fitness out.
Yes,
he's got all the attributes as well to be an unbelievable right back.
Of course he has.
Honestly, he's got the crossing ability, he's got the up and down, he's got the defensive mind. I think he's a really good footballer, but my God, he's made of glass. And it is a big shame. And just lastly on Chelsea, by the way, I don't really know anyone that has achieved their goals without a centre forward or a goalkeeper. They're two of the most important positions on the pitch. Mm-hmm. And I know Petrovic has started to come into his own, but he's better than that Sanchez. But have we seen enough for him to go, yeah, that's the goalkeeper to lead them forward? Petr Cech. You're the next guy. You're the next Petr Cech. Not for me. And then up top, they've got nothing. They've got absolutely nothing up top. So I don't know. I mean, LB thinks Chelsea have got a good squad. Fair play. Need to take some of their players.
Whoa!
Listen, you want Gusto. You want Gusto ahead of Rico Lewis, Carl Walker, and Akanji. Apparently,
no, I didn't. I didn't say that. I said I would
take. You wanted Gusto.
Yeah, not to start.
I mean, the squad, that's what I'm just saying. Akanji, Rico Lewis, and Kyle Walker are your right backs, are they not?
I'd say Rico Lewis is more of a midfielder now, to be honest with you. And Akanji is kind of like, again, he's, people do this all the time. He's a centre back who sometimes we play right back. So let's not twist my words. The point that I'm making is they've got a squad that's better than being in 10th. Yeah, that's the whole point of the conversation. There we go.
It's definitely better than being in 10th. And a few Chelsea fans saying, how could we sell Reece? It's not about his ability. It's about his availability. And I think when he's fully fit and fully functioning, he's better than Gusto. But Gusto's going to play for you. It looks like he's going to play for you regularly, week in, week out. So he's therefore by default better because he's available. At the end of the day, if you're not fit and you can't play, it is what it is. Petrovic was a great signing, is what Miko Dillon says here.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching him a couple of times.
Yeah, he looks good. He looks good. I don't know if he's going to take him to the top, but he looks good, man. He looks like an all right goalkeeper, yeah.
Yeah. Better than Sanchez, anyway.
Yeah, that's not hard, though, is it? Jeez.
Yeah, 100%. Big weekend it was for Arsenal, Dan. Big.
Yep. Yep.
You snatched up West Ham. You showed that, over celebrating and taking pictures of your photographer didn't make you complacent, and it seems to have rattled rivals.
Yeah, big time, man. Big time. I don't know why it does. Because we ain't winning nothing. We're not good enough. And Man City are winning everything. So why is everyone so rattled then? I don't get it. Surely Arsenal are the ones that are going to be laughed at the end of the season, and it's all going to come crumbling down. So why are people so rattled, man? Chill out. It's all going to go wrong for us. I still think we won't win the league. I still don't think we'll win the Champions League. So I'm kind of thought the fan base were with me and thought that Arsenal were going to probably finish second or third and win nothing this season. But maybe people are starting to be worried now. Otherwise, why the hell would they be so rattled? I don't get it. It's like
who's rattled, man? Who's rattled?
Everyone, it seems. I don't know. Opposition fans, media. Let's all gather around the fire. Let's all look at how Arsenal are going to crumble in February. They're going to lose to Liverpool. Make sure everyone's there. Don't miss it. Oh, they won. Well, it doesn't matter anyway. Man City going to win the league. He's got what they take pictures for. And it's like, wow, this has really rattled them. And then we go to West Ham. Let's come and watch this game. Let's watch Arsenal slip up here. They lost to them last time. Everyone, make sure you're watching. 6-0. It don't matter anyway, man. City going to win the league. You can't bloody win. I'm like, what's going on? Okay, just keep getting rattled then. Hopefully, people continue to keep getting rattled. I don't really get it. Arsenal, I think, will fall off from the title. Arsenal will not win the Champions League. That is my honest opinion. I hope we win both. I hope we win one. And I hope we put everybody in the mud. But I don't really get it. Whenever it's Arsenal, it's pile on. I know why it is. Because we have a fan base that rattles everybody. We have a deluded, toxically positive fan base that rattles everybody that become a nuisance. That is why it is. That is just pure facts. And that's coming from an Arsenal fan. So the minute that we see everybody on Twitter, everyone loses their heads because people like Igal and Bavs and all the other guys that are really positive about Arsenal get on everyone's tits. That is why it is. That is literally why it is. So people can say, why are Arsenal getting this? That's why it is. So you get some of the other balanced opinions of Arsenal. They're actually quite you can suffer that and say fair play to you. But there are a section of the fan base that are extremely annoying to opposition fans, and they start rubbing it in people's faces. So then they go quiet and go, oh, Christ, can't shut them up now. They just battered West Ham 6-0. Oh, my God, they've battered Liverpool 3-1. What the hell are we going to do? It's ruined our whole weekend. Oh, my God. Whereas, let's be real, why is it? Why has it ruined people's weekends? It's mad to me. Man City is sitting there chilling. I don't care. Arsenal won 6-0. What does it mean to them? What does it matter that Arsenal beat Liverpool 3-1 to Man City fans? It's probably a good result for them because apparently Liverpool are more of a threat than Arsenal. So City are cool. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's very, very bizarre to me. I don't understand why it happens. And by the way, I love Babs and Igal, by the way, before everyone in the chat starts saying I hate them, because I don't. I do a lot of content with both of them and speak to them a lot. But when I look at it, I just think it's a bit extreme about all of this. Oh, my God, look at Arsenal getting excited again. Man, let us celebrate. We won 3-1. We won 6-0. It was two good results. And I will say, Mikel Arteta tactically in the last two games has really impressed a lot of Arsenal fans and a lot of opposition fans, but they just don't want to say it. They don't want to hear it for Arsenal. I just think there's a lot of let's pile on Arsenal. And when they can't pile on, they get rattled. Why? Sort your own team out, man. Don't worry about us. Leave us. But that's just the way I see it, bro. And it might be different because I'm an Arsenal fan. It might be different for opposition fans. LB can sit there quite comfortably and confidently and saying it doesn't bother me because he's never thought Arsenal were serious to be able to get in front of Man City. But there are some fans, I sit there and I think, wait, go and watch EastEnders then if you don't want to watch Arsenal beating us 6-0, beating West Ham 6-0. Go and do something else. Don't get rattled. I'm not rattled. But you'll sit on social media for 3 hours or on a podcast for 3 hours saying how Arsenal are not serious. It will come breaking down. Mate, go back and support your team. We don't need to hear about your absolute rants. It's rather embarrassing. But
the best bit,
the club how you want, man.
The funniest bit of analysis that I saw the other day was when everybody was saying that Arteta's got to be sacked if he can't beat Pep this league title this year. And an Arsenal fan super chatted in saying, okay, but why is it that Arsenal fans have to demand that Arteta gets sacked if he doesn't beat Pep to the title this year? But none of the other 18 clubs should demand that their manager sacked for not beating Pep to the title this year. And I just thought it just changed my outlook again. I thought that's such an interesting point. And I get that contextually, the context is the word that some people will use. Postecoglou's at a different stage. Man United situation is different. But equally, Arsenal can still apply context. You're up against one of the greatest English teams of all time. We were the favourites. I've heard pundits turn around and say, yeah, but They've just got to win now, Arsenal. Are they? And then the next question that never gets asked of them, but it should be, do you think Arsenal are the favourites to win it? No, I think Liverpool and City are favourites ahead of them. Then how do they have to win it if you see them as third favourites? I've never seen in any other sport, you get the person that's third or fourth favourite to win Wimbledon. Nobody says he has to win it in that year, unless it's he's getting old and it's his last year. It's not as if this Arsenal team is on its last legs. No one ever lined up for the 100-metre sprint when you had Usain Bolt running and went, do you know what? If Dwayne Chambers don't win, Dwayne Chambers has got to win it today. He's seventh favourite, but he's got to win it today. No one's ever done that. But suddenly with Arsenal, it's if they don't win this year, and it's a way of deflecting from you guys being a better team and that you've become competitors. They want to play down that being a competitor isn't where we all want to be. And then from that point, you become winners to make it's almost like they're trying to gaslight Arsenal fans into thinking, if you come second and narrowly miss out on the title to City, that's a worse season than Spurs coming fifth. It's honestly crazy the way I see, again, and it's 2 games running where so many media outlets, so many rivals, I'm not talking about how quick the football was, how beautiful the football was, how you controlled the games really in both matches, and how that's a dangerous thing. It's just over-celebrating and but City are going to win the league anyway, or moving the goalposts even further to essentially saying if you don't win the league this year, everything you're currently doing means nothing, which is just nonsense. It's not how football works.
The thing is, bro, this is good for Arsenal because we're relevant again. We're relevant again. We're rattling people. No one wants to see us up there, man. Everyone hates it. They absolutely hate the fact that Arsenal were up there again because we were the laughing stock. Man United, we were basically what Man United and Chelsea have been. That was us for a good 3 years, man. Coming 8th, and then bottling top 4 and coming 5th, and then bottling the top. We're actually there competing again now, and everyone's like, I hate this. I thought they were coming 4th. Champions League, they're back in it for the first time. They should be 5th. What the hell are they up there for? Everyone hates it. They can't. I don't know why. I mean, just support your own club. It's calm. But some people, they just hate Arsenal. They can't stand us. And that's why they hate the fact that we're up there. And you got Gary Neville 1 week. Just calm down. What an emotional fan base. What an emotional team. What the hell is going on? A week later, 6-0. They got a real chance, Arsenal. They got a real chance. What, in 7 days, you've gone from stop being emotional to actually you got a real chance. They're all over the place with Arsenal. Everyone's
listen, I'll criticise Gary Neville, as quickly as I can, but can he not be right on both of those points? I think you do have an emotional team. I think you have an emotional manager. You have an emotional fan base, but you also still have a chance of winning the league. Why can't both of those things be right?
Both of them things are right, ALB, but he's not saying it in that context, is he? Do you see what I'm saying? So I don't know the clips that you're talking about. So I'm just So 1 minute this is such an emotional side. They're gonna throw this away. This is not nothing to get excited about yet. Next minute, got a chance. What one is it then? Do you know what I mean?
Right. Okay. I didn't know he said that at the end of the first because you didn't say that the first time. I thought because you do have an emotional. You have an emotional.
We have an unbelievably emotional fan base and team. Correct. Yeah. That is a fact. That's not just opinion. That for me is a fact. I think we've proven that, right? But we've always had a chance of winning the league. I mean, that in my opinion, anyway. I never thought we were going to win it. We definitely got a chance of winning it. Look at the table. It doesn't lie, does it? You know what I mean? There's 24 games gone. And we're 2 points off the top. That means we've got a chance of winning the league. Now, if we do want to win it, we've got to be putting it on flawless, in my opinion, towards the end of this, we're now in the end of the season. But I honestly believe that Man City got too much. And I've always said that. I'm not going to change my opinion of that. But I don't know, man. I just find the media a very, very strange bunch. Anytime it's Arsenal, it's pile on us. And I find it bizarre. And I honestly believe it is because there are a certain section of our fan base that people cannot stand. And they find a nuisance. But let's be real. Your fan bases have it as well, but people never want to talk on it for some reason. There's a very arrogant side to the Man City fans. There's a very annoying Man United bunch, annoying Liverpool, annoying Spurs, West Ham, all of them deluded. Oh my God, Tottenham ain't won nothing, mate. They ain't won anything for ages. But their fan base will shout and they'll come on here and say, "Oh, this is brilliant, and we're going to win trophies this year, and that is the next best thing." And Andrew's already not won a trophy. Do you know what I mean? So they're annoying as well, but we don't pile in on them and start going mad whenever it happens. Get the hump, get rattled by it. It's very, very odd. I don't know.
The thing is, so Jamie Carragher did a really good breakdown last night of Bayer Leverkusen and Alonso, but at no point did he mention how after they beat Bayern Munich 3-0, which is a huge game, and by the way, Arsenal have beaten both Liverpool and City this year in big games that are going to have implications on the title race. He doesn't jump and celebrate like Arteta does, but at the end of the game, the players basically did a lap of honor and went around clapping the fans. Now, typically speaking, that is what you do at the end of the season or when you win a trophy. But yet Jamie Carragher completely left that out of his analysis because he was bigging up how this guy could be good for Liverpool. What he didn't bring up is, well, he's over celebrating there at the end of the games. Is there immaturity? Could that immaturity damage Liverpool? And that for me is where I have a problem with the analysis. Is they're inconsistent with it. I don't mind that somebody's opinion that if you over celebrate, it can damage a team. But you've got to apply that logic when you're talking about multiple clubs and not just one in isolation. And I spoke about it back. I did a video earlier on today when it comes to Man United. We get similar treatment. We're just not as good. And Man United fans are only going to notice what Arsenal fans are saying if and when we get back up near the top. 2 weeks ago, Simon Jordan saying Man United fans stop moaning. It should all be about results now between now and the end of the season. He then gets called out by a United fan who says, "Oh, you still slagging my manager off after 3 wins on the bounce?" And all Simon Jordan responded with was, "Well, where you actually sit as a football club in the pyramid, your performances aren't sustainable." 2-3 weeks ago, it was just results that you wanted to talk about. Now suddenly results are not the important bit, and it's performances. And none of what he actually says in isolation, like the pundits, is wrong, but it's their application of that opinion and how they speak about other clubs, and they ignore those same talking points. That for me is where, especially from the paid pundits who get listened to by millions of people listen to it. They're influential. And I think it's kind of wrong. Like, Arsenal are not the only team who go crazy when they score goals. They don't have the only manager that runs up and down and screams on the touchline. They don't have the only team that afterwards jump on each other and celebrate. So I don't understand why it's been called out, other than what you've said. There is a disdain for Arsenal, and barring City fans, City are the only fans that, generally speaking, I exclude, unless you're Hamza, who all other rivals are so rattled by Arsenal. They're genuinely rattled by Arsenal. It's hilarious to watch.
Well, that's why I asked at the start of this debate, tell me about what people getting rattled about, because I don't know what people are getting rattled about.
Because LB, you're not one of them, bro. That's what it is. You're not one of them getting rattled, so you won't understand it. You're like us. You're sitting there going, what? Scratching your head. Why are they? They absolutely hate it. And, let's be real. What we really should be talking about is Declan Rice and the actual performance and how good it was, right? But we're all talking about this again because people absolutely cannot stand the fact that Arsenal have won. And they can't stand the fact that Arsenal won 6-0. It's just bizarre for me. It really is strange. But listen, maybe we're more serious than I thought. Maybe fans believe that we're more serious than even I thought, because it is absolutely crazy. But
I want to, before we talk about the game, I want to play the clip. Actually, this is from Nikki on DR Sports yesterday.
Oh, I love it.
This clip is amazing.
Left wing.
That's mad.
And you let Benrahma and Fornal go.
Yeah,
that's
but why?
crazy.
Right? And Arsenal fans are pissing me off. I'm going to be honest, they're pissing me off.
That's fair
because
enough.
everything that they ever do is it seems to be set by a narrative that they won't divert from. They're commenting me going, why are you so salty about Rice leaving? Have I ever been salty about Rice leaving? Me personally?
Not you personally.
No, you
Never, ever.
Not you personally.
They don't know anything else to say. They just go down one path and they say, "Oh, you're salty. Who gives a shit?"
To be fair,
we beat you already twice.
Oh,
No, that is it. You get the same amount of points for a 2-0 win as you do for a 6-0 win.
Listen, I know it's a bit of fun, right? I get it. But first of all, they're calling out the Declan Rice thing because your fan base booed and none of you have called it out, right? That's why the Declan Rice thing happened. And yes, you get 3 points for both wins, but one was a humiliation. So we can't sit here and pretend that getting beat 6-0 doesn't hurt more than getting beat 2-0. Of course it does. Of course it does. It's crazy.
Their fans are salty as well, by the way. They really are. They hate the fact he's gone to Arsenal. They were begging him to go abroad or to Man City. And he chose us, and they can't hack it, man. They absolutely hate it. And do you know what? We never really had any form of a rivalry with West Ham. A lot of the West Ham fans and Arsenal fans used to be all right because it used to be quite funny to both laugh together at Tottenham, the fact that they don't win anything, etc. And also when West Ham won that European Conference League, they were starting giving them, we're running around Tottenham with our European Cup saying, "I've won a trophy, haven't you?" So that's a good song, man, and it's funny. So everyone was laughing at it. But for some reason, the minute we bought Declan Rice, can't stand Arsenal, hate him. Now listen, West Ham fans, some of them have hated Arsenal forever, right? It's a London rivalry, etc. But for some reason, there's this severe hatred at the moment, and it was just beautiful to go to their ground and put 6 past them. And the number 6 goal has to be from Rice. It was an absolute, it's just a beautiful moment. And, I get on really well. Dan Lourdes, as LB knows, on our channel, and we have a lot of banter. And last night's show was an absolute roasting for him. And fair play, because he deserved it, man. He's getting cocky. He loved the fact that he'd beaten us twice. And Declan Rice has basically shut all the fan base up. But I say that, classy guy, man. He went round, he clapped. There's about 4 fans left, by the way, but he went round and clapped the whole fan base that were left there, and thanked them all. Because I think when you look at it, I can totally appreciate and understand where he's at and where some of the fan base is at. I've had it. When Fabregas has gone, when Alexis Sanchez has gone, when Van Persie's gone, I've hated it. But I've kind of understood it. I thought, you know what? Van Persie went and he won a trophy. Fabregas went, he won a trophy. Alexis Sanchez has gone. Thierry Henry has gone. Ashley Cole has won. They've all lifted trophies or done something successful with their careers after Arsenal. So I kind of, club does not match the ambition of yourself. You move on to a club that's more ambitious. And all of those players did that, right? And I think that's what Rice has done. He's won him a trophy for the first time as a captain in 43 years. They finally lifted silverware. I think they should deserve to give him a little bit of respect. I understand they're not going to be going, I'm so pleased he went to Arsenal. I'm so happy. Of course they're not going to be. They're gutted he's gone, right? But some of the fans, I mean, the actual abuse and some of the stuff, calling him see you next Tuesday, screaming about his family and his wife. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on here? Like, this is absolutely extreme. I thought this guy was seen as a top player at West Ham. And I thought it was disrespectful. But you know what? He goes around and he claps the fans. Still, he could have gone straight down the tunnel. He could have celebrated his goal. He could have gone, nah, bollocks to you. You've given me a load of abuse for the last 6 months. I'm doing what I want. Fair play to him, man. Absolute quality player. Quality player.
Rice handled himself with such decorum at the weekend in terms of his performance.
Yeah, outstanding.
Just
he's a top player,
out of this world, and you know he is. I know a lot of people at the start of the season were talking about Maddison being the signing of the year, and I think part of that is due to him only costing 40 million. But for me, Declan Rice is that guy so far because he's the best player I've seen who's handled that 100 million price tag and above. He's just been so good, so consistent. I've said it all year, and we've done this. We've all been doing this show like 3 or 4 weeks together now. But I believed that your lack of pace to your game was a preemptive move from the manager and the team to reserve energy for the second half of the season. I always felt in the second half you would come alive and move the ball quicker, run faster. And you're talking marginal differences here, but Declan Rice has made you a calmer and much harder team to break down. And I stand by something Sir Alex Ferguson said all those years ago. Goals win you games, but defenses win you titles. And although he doesn't play in your defense, what he now brings stability-wise with Saliba and Gabriel behind him, he's just out of this world. And he's going to surpass the amount of goals and assists that Granit Xhaka got last year as well, in my opinion. So that element of Granit Xhaka has also been replaced as well. He was just phenomenal at the weekend. And to go to your previous employer, your previous club, after losing to him twice already this season, with the media and everybody, imagine the headlines that were ready for if you guys lost because of the over-celebrating and everything else. To handle all of that, Declan Rice demonstrated that he's a top-class to world-class player, and he may not wear the armband, but he's the best captain at your club as well. He's an absolute super. No wonder Pep Guardiola wanted him at Man City. He's an absolute. He's ridiculous.
I know Man City fans, and I don't know if LB's one of them, but I know Hugh and Big Steve and a few the other ones and Daps, etc., that have said to me, like, I'm so jealous that you got him and we didn't, man. And like, imagine him when Rodri's out, done. When he plays with Rodri, he guarantees Man City another treble for me. Like, honestly, that is how important he would have been to Man City. I'm so glad that he didn't go there because it would have been good night for football completely. I mean, it might even be that already. But Rice going to City just basically gifts them another treble for me. And, you know, Man City might win another treble. But for me, he's that good, man. And I always knew he was a good player. I never really wanted to say it too much because, man, West Ham fans can get cocky. But I honestly never, watching him week in, week out now, I'm like, okay, yeah, I didn't know you were this good, man. I knew you were good for England and I knew you were good for West Ham, but this is scary. And, like, you know, this isn't a dig at Jack Grealish whatsoever because he's won a treble and he's a top talent. But 100 million, you look at it and go, is he a £100 million winger? Nah, he's not. I know that to pay because there's a release clause, etc. But you kind of look at Rice and think, yeah, he's kind of justified why he's 105 million already in terms of how good he looks and how he's taken us to that. And I think when you look at like Caicedo and Enzo and all that, they're all still questioning, going, is he worth that? No one's talking about the price tag of Declan Rice because he's been so good, man. And he deserves all the plaudits, man. He really does.
I agree with that.
He's just like, yeah, I don't know what to say.
Oh, listen, I don't know what you want me to say. I mean, yeah, I wish we would have got him. Well, I wish we would have got Jude Bellingham first. But then we didn't get Jude Bellingham because obviously he chose Real Madrid. I wish we would have got Rice. And obviously, yeah, I think Dan's right. I think if Rice would have come to City, we probably, obviously, you can't really say. I was going to say we probably don't lose the games against Arsenal and Wolves. Not saying we would have won them, but obviously Rodri was out. He could have just slotted into the 6. You know, it could have been game over. So, yeah, this is a great player. And Dan's right on the price tag as well. Like, no one's really questioning the price tag. So, yeah, fair dues, man. It's been a good signing. And listen, this is what Arsenal have needed to do for some time. Be a serious football club. Do you know what I mean? Stop signing these £30 million players who keep on flopping, the Vieiras and that. Yeah, stop signing those players and start signing some top talent. Yeah, so in the summer, go and sign a big striker. Go and get Tony or Osimhen. Don't mess around. Go and get him. And get it done within the first couple of weeks of the transfer window if you can. Yeah, show your intent. Because I genuinely believe that winning a Premier League isn't just about who's got the best team. It's about the mental aspect of the game. It's about putting fear into the rivals. Yeah. And I always refer back to the last transfer window when we got to February the 1st, yeah, last year, and Arsenal had only signed Jorginho, Trossard, and was it Kivior or someone like that. And I knew February the 1st, they've not done enough here. We can catch them. Yeah. This summer with Arsenal, when they signed Rice, I was like, damn, they're being serious. I don't think they did quite enough, in my opinion. Same with Liverpool. When they signed McAllister and Szoboszlai in the first couple of weeks of the transfer window, you're sitting there going, damn, these guys are serious. But then it kind of tailed off. I genuinely think football's not much more, but a large part of winning titles is about putting fear into your opposition. And you do that by intent and going buying some elite level players, man. So yeah, let's see what they've got in store for us this summer.
Yes, and I agree with that. And look, City are still my favourites to win the Premier League as it stands. I'm teetering every day. Liverpool, Arsenal, it's neck and neck between those two for me right now. I can't really separate the two, but I think it's going to go down to the wire. I think by the end of the season, no more than 6 points is going to separate all three of those teams from top to third or whatever it may be. But yeah, look, Arsenal, I think it's good for the league. That they did what they did, but I love what you said there about intent, because it's true. If the season ends, win, lose or draw or anything, and then within 4 or 5 days of the season ending, they've put £100 million bid in for Victor Osimhen and they've signed him, or they've gone and got Ivan Toney, it sends a message. And I think it's important to have your players for pre-season. I look at Rasmus Højlund at United; he's finding his feet now, but the fact that he joined us partially injured without no pre-season, it's no good. That deal should have been done, especially a player of his age, that he should have been in early. If it had been in June, had a pre-season, started the season fit, no doubt he'd have got even more goals by now. It's just that you're playing catch up with your fitness, catch up with the system, the pressure of being at a club such as that. And the more Arsenal, by the way, the more they compete and the better they get, the more pressure that's on them to maintain that as an example. So the quicker you get your business done, the better. And yeah, you're right. But yeah, Declan Rice, what's a player? I mean, he looks cheap at 105 million. Genuinely looks cheap at 105 million for how good he has been. Let's look at somebody's super chats here. It says Rice waited till they left to score. Respect is what Shane says. That must have been, for you as a Gooner, that must have been poetic watching, because it wasn't just a few hundred. It was 20-odd thousand that left when that fourth goal went in.
It was class, man. And it was funny because Lawless was going, oh, they've only got to go and get a burger at the concourse. He'll be back. Well, then that burger must be bloody good because they didn't bother coming back.
Yeah.
So it was quite funny.
The concourse, no, they're gone to get. Some of them were going Westfield to get some food, doing a bit of shopping. They were gone,
mate. Honestly, it was crazy. It was beautiful to see, man, and what a crumble from West Ham within 15 minutes. I mean, 4-0. Honestly, it could have been about 10 or 11. It was that one-sided. It's the worst team that we have played in the history of me watching Arsenal. It was that bad. We've played some awful teams, by the way. They were worse than Sheffield United, man. And we beat them 5-0 at the Emirates. They were worse than them. It was absolutely shocking. They give up, they crumbled. The players a mess. Moyes' tactics. They're playing Ben Johnson as a left winger. I mean, what the hell was going on there? Kudus, don't know what happened to him. Bowen, don't know what happened to him. People are telling me they've got a better front three than Arsenal. Clearly not when Paqueta's out, because they look terrible. The whole team was an absolute sham. It really was. And yeah, I don't know what happened to them defensively. They were a mess. I mean, Aguerd and Zuma were just getting done. And Saka, that's 100 goals and assists now at 22 at Arsenal. In phenomenal record for a young lad who's having a really shocking season, apparently, with 10 goals, 7 assists. If that's a shocking season, I can't wait for him to have a good one again, because he's a top talent, mate. Gabriel, very underrated, under the radar. People not talking about him enough. He's been an absolute monster this season. And Ødegaard was pulling the strings, man. Trossard in that position looked very good. A lot of good performances from Arsenal, but a lot of people will say about how bad West Ham were and Wrexham could have beaten them 6-0. It's nothing to do with Arsenal. No, we played well, man, and we deserve our credit. So, yeah, man, on to the next.
Absolutely. Pep is massively emotional. He has outbursts each year.
Probably does, yeah.
Yeah, he does. He is emotional. Haaland getting off ending his drought at the weekend. We're all getting worried about him. Thought he'd fallen off.
Wild boy. He didn't play a game for like 2 months. He's still top Premier League goal scorer, man.
I know.
Honestly, some people.
That when I heard commentators saying that he hasn't scored for 2 months, I went, yeah, but most of that he's been at. It's sometimes, a player scores in April, and the last goal might be in April. They don't score in May. And then they have the summer off and they're injured in the first 2 months and it's October and they say, he hasn't scored for 6 months. So, but he's only been available for like 4 weeks of that, you mugs. Sometimes they really do like drag those stats out a little bit. Will Dan back Mikel Arteta now? Clearly one of the best in the Premier League.
What does he mean back now? What do want to go and buy a season ticket and start going to games and start actually going and watching the team? Or what does he mean?
Are you Arteta?
There's not an Arteta out or Arteta in. I've always said this, man. We're Arsenal in. It's not about whether you want him in and out every week. I don't get it. For me, until I'm proven otherwise, I still don't think this guy can get us across the line. I still think he might be the nearly there, man. I'm not going to change that because we're beating West Ham 6-0 now, right? But if he can go and win a Champions League or a Premier League title and prove to the people that doubt him, the people that aren't sure or have concerns about him, then of course people will get on behind him and say, "Wow, he's done a great job to allow us to compete." Absolutely, but I want to win stuff. I don't just want to be there or thereabouts. And he needs to win something this season for me to prove that he can get us across the line. That's going to be very difficult now because we went out the domestic cups. So for me, there needs to be context as to why we haven't won something. And if it is that we've got to a Champions League final when we've been binned out on penalties by Man City or we've lost 1-0 or whatever it be, then fair play. If we get Man City to the last game of the season and they pip us, there's context as to why you might want to keep Mikel Arteta. But if we go out to Porto and we lose behind Ange Postecoglou's Spurs and come fourth, are you telling me that we have to back this manager and get behind him? Maybe he ain't going to be that guy to take us across the line. But there's certainly good things he's done, man. 100%. That's the way I'm at. And, for me, there's definitely context in football. It's not like win the league or go. North Side and League One are different. They want us to win or get out of it. That's fine. That's an opinion. There's some people that just want to keep with him. He will do it. Doesn't matter if it takes him 10 years. I'm protecting this guy and I'm behind him the whole way. I'm in the middle. I'm like, win me something and prove that you are the guy to get us across the line. Otherwise, I'm going to have my reservations and concerns that you can't do it. That's where I'm at, bro.
Makes sense. This year says Rice decided to remove the hammer from his arsenal and used a cannon into the top corner to send the rest of the hammers home early for pie and mash. I like that super chat, Peter. That's very good.
Big up, Peter.
Granite here says that let them hate. It's fun. We all need.
We all
need. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we all got what we all need. Yeah, sorry, that done my dyslexia right in there.
That's all right. What's that? 6. What's that?
Read that.
6.
6 tuple. Like
7 tuple. 50 tuple is a fairy tale, my friend. Do we get that?
I
don't get that one.
I don't get it, but thank you for super chat. I appreciate it. You confident tonight, LB? Champions League knockout stages starts?
Yeah, of course you've got to be confident. You know what I mean? I give respect to the opposition as much as you possibly can because, I think any team that gets to the knockout stages should be given respect. Yeah. If you look at Copenhagen this year, they only got narrowly beat off Bayern at home 2-1. They got a draw against Bayern away. They beat Man United and again a slim loss against United in the other game. They beat Galatasaray. And got a 2-2 away at Galatasaray. So these guys are thoroughly, people will speak about the fact United were asked. This team has done well to get to the last 16. But yeah, obviously I'm going to be confident. Kevin De Bruyne didn't start the game at the weekend, so he's going to be fresh for it. Haaland's back, you know what I mean? Got a couple of goals. So yeah, man, I'm feeling confident. In an ideal world, right? And I'm not saying we have to do this because again, I just said that you got to give respect. In an ideal world, though, we could kind of do him with killing this game off if it's possible, because the return leg is in between Man United and Liverpool Premier League games. So that's not you'd like to be able to rest players, but as I just said, I'd take a win. 1-0, 2-0. Yeah. That's what it's about. Take them back to the Etihad. We should be fine, man. But yeah,
this will be over in one leg. This will be at least 3.
I hope so. I hope so because I can say the second.
I know you're being respectful. I get it, and I rate that. I admire you for that, and they do deserve to be there, right? But when you got that draw, I was like, right, they're through. Who's got who next? That for me, it's that one-sided. I think it will be easily 3, maybe even 4 tonight.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, you'll smash them. You'll absolutely smash. In fairness, like we were up until Rashford was inexplicably sent off, and then we just had a brain fart and we collapsed. We were cruising, and we're nowhere near your level. So you guys won't have those mishaps, and you'll get it done, no problem. I had a question for you about Champions League quickly, boys. Do you think they should bring back away goals?
Yeah. And I'm saying that as someone who's been stung on away goals. I think it's well more interesting. I think games are more exciting. There's more jeopardy involved in the game. I think for me, they thought that by getting rid of away goals, maybe we'd get some more open games. But I just think like away goals are huge, are so big. And for me, like playing away in Europe is a difficult task. It's a difficult task, and I just think it adds a nice complexity to the game. And yeah, like I say, my team benefited since it's gone because obviously we won the Champions League, and I'm pretty sure we got knocked out maybe twice or three times with away goals, so it's never benefited us. But I just think it's so much more interesting with away goals.
I totally disagree. I do not want away goals back in, man, because it makes you very, 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 very defensive at home, and you are absolutely scared shitless to concede a goal. It doesn't make you more attacking away because you're trying to get more. You're basically going to attack against a low block. For me, I didn't like it. We've been stung by it as well. Obi says that Man City been stung by it. Arsenal been stung by it a lot, and I didn't like it. And I also hated the fact that if you're playing second, you've got such a disadvantage if it is a tight game and it goes into extra time, because the minute you go into extra time and they score, you then need two. I hated it. Absolutely hated it.
If they were to bring it back, which I don't think they will, the change I would make is that it only lasts for the 90 minutes. After the 90 minutes, it's scrapped because, again, the team that's away in the second leg, therefore, then has a clear advantage, which they get an extra 30 minutes of away goal opportunities, which the other team didn't get. But yeah, I'm a bit the same. I remember being done by it badly and it hurting. But at the same time, when you watch it, especially when you watch a first leg game and you think about, I mean, this is the other way around, but say Copenhagen were away first leg and they lose 2-1. They've got a really good chance because they haven't. Do you know what I mean? And then City have to, although they're winning, they know they've got to score and get an away goal. So it can make games better. I see the problem with it as well. But yeah, just a few people were talking about it this week, and I just thought. Golden goal was awful. I hated golden goal. I hated golden goal. I always think the team, unless someone scores in the last minute, I always think you should have the opportunity to respond. And through conceding golden goal, it's being over. It's great if your team gets it, but it's like you concede in the first minute of extra time and it's over. It's like, but there was 29 minutes left. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't like it.
Also, with the standard of the referee in these days, bloody hell, you really want golden goal? Jesus.
Away goals, I'd rather lose on penalties.
Yeah, listen, it's not for everyone. Away goals, it's not for everyone, but I just thought it made games more exciting personally. And I thought it added a layer of complexity, which I liked about the Champions League. It added that extra little element. And Terry's right. If you lost the game 2-1, but you was away and you had that away goal, it's not actually that bad because you think, well, we go win 1-0 at our place and we win the game. So, yeah, for me, I like it. Like I said,
so if Arsenal got Man City in the semi-finals and it was away goals and it was 2-2 at your ground and 1-1 at the Emirates, no one deserves to go through, but we've gone through because we scored 2 at your ground. You only got 1 at ours. You'll be all right with that.
What do you mean, would I be all right with it? Obviously, I'd be
Well, that's upset. What I mean. It's like, that's shit, isn't it? That's not right, surely. Because it's 3-3 on aggregate. We've gone through because we got 2 and you only got 1. Like,
yes,
surely that's
scoring goals away from home is more difficult than scoring goals at home. That's the whole point. Going away in Europe is difficult.
You're just stating what the rule is, but we get the rule. But that's a crap rule, LB, surely, because it's 3-3 on aggregate. But we've gone through. Hey, we got the goal at your place. You couldn't score ours, but we've gone through. That's crap. It's like, actually, you haven't even beaten us, and you've been gifted through because you scored 1 more goal than us at our ground.
Yeah, you just said I'm stating the rule. That's what you do. You're stating the rule.
No, but I'm saying that. But you're saying that that's a good thing. You're saying that's fine.
I'm saying I think it's more interesting with away goals. That's what I'm saying. I agree with the point that you're saying in terms of like it's 3-3, no teams won. Why is one going through? I like it because it adds more complexity, and I think having away goals is such a powerful tool for teams to go through.
Fair enough, man. I disagree, man. I think it's a crazy rule, but there we go.
Viewers, leave us your comments below. Let us know what you think and feel. Gents, I want to thank you both for coming on the show today. Always a pleasure to speak football with you. We are live tonight after the Champions League games to review them, to get your take, views, and opinions. So make sure you're tuning in around about quarter to 10 o'clock, depending on when they finish. Until next time, everybody, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.